one. And live. Oh, here we are. I love your background, by the way. Is it a Donald Duck? What is it there?
It's a real background. Those are some like crypto kaijus. Those are vinyl toys backed by NFTs. And we did some collaboration with the team, offering like virtual game characters into Sandbox virtual world for those who own the physical vinyl toys. So that's been a fantastic collaboration. And yeah, well, beside that, it's a room, it's the house.
I see.
Not my workplace.
Fantastic. I love it. By the way, I was reading a news. I think Christie's will auction some CryptoPunks or something like that. So
that's right.
The NFT world is going crazy in this moment. By the way, Sebastian, where are you in this moment?
I'm in France, in Paris.
Okay. And what's the situation there with the lockdown?
We're back in full lockdown, so kids cannot go to school anymore for 4 weeks from now. We'll see if that helps to get the numbers down. And yeah, we live in this new world post-pandemic. We spend more time doing video calls and hopefully more time now trying to interact in more meaningful manner in virtual world, in games. So that's actually, it's been in a way beneficial for Sandbox, and we can discuss about it, but also beneficial for most of the people that have been affected by the COVID, that found more new vocation, new way to earn revenue already in our virtual world.
Definitely. Let's talk about virtual worlds. I remember years ago when Second Life exploded. Do you remember Second Life? That it was like a great trend. I remember in Italy there was a period that front page of the main newspapers was Adidas opened a Second Life island, I don't know, something like that. So it was an incredible trend, and then it disappeared, but started to give the idea of a virtual world, and a lot of progress has been done from that moment. Can you help us to understand the picture today of the virtual worlds and why is not a Second Life scenario anymore?
That's a very good question. Actually, Second Life is not dead. With the pandemic, It's still very alive and active, but it is, as you said, lacking one key component. It's not just about doing business in a virtual world or like opening a store and then so what? Like, what's your strategy? What's happening there? It's boring. You need the fun at the key. So taking a step back, looking at the space of virtual world at the moment, you can see on one side, you have like centralized virtual world that I can call like Minecraft, Roblox, or the Facebook, for example, Rhythms, and a few other, even Fortnite in a way is a virtual world that with a closed economy, centralized. And on the other side, you have like new decentralized virtual worlds that's been appearing for the past few years, where all the content is actually owned by the users. The governance is not centralized into a single company that runs the world. The Sandbox is part of this movement. So we've been one of the pioneers in the space. You can also find about Decentraland, Somnium Space, Crypto Voxel, among those that are the most known in the space.
Right.
And so
what do you think is the main difference?
I'm going there, but the one that I think like most people should have been having their eyes above for the past few months has been Roblox, definitely, because Roblox, after building the platform for close to 15 years now, they are topping 240 million active users on the platform, 160,000 creators that create content, create games, and monetize them on their platform. And they did an IPO where more than $60 billion have been raised during that IPO. Yeah. So it's newsworthy, it's a major. And yet Roblox represents exactly this archetype of a closed environment, a closed economy, where one single entity is controlling exactly what users can do on their platform. The users who make the content, who contribute to the success of it, they are not rewarded fairly for their contribution. They earn only a small portion of revenue. They cannot take their content or creation outside of the platform, so they are locked inside the platform. And that's, I think, essentially the main issue of those centralized virtual world like Fortnite or Roblox, and something that we have trying to make differently, putting the community and the user first, involving them and rewarding them for their contribution to the success. So we do it with that through the use of a technology that is blockchain. Blockchain, to put it simply, it's an online database, an online ledger that anyone can review, and that provide the transparency for all the records that are stored there. It is immutable, so no one can alter that record after once it's being made. And through the use of that blockchain technology, we are empowering players and creators who can mint their content as non-fungible tokens. So essentially game items and other sort of digital assets put on the blockchain, as well as a cryptocurrency called Sand, which is the main utility token of our platform.
Got it.
With this in hand, we've established a new digital economy where all the content made by creators or earned by players is owned by them. As such, you can start having like a value assigned to those value that comes from the time they spend to create, from the time they spend to play, to acquire those items, can come from other parameters like the attachment, the rarity, the fact that blockchain provide the proof of the scarcity of those items. And as such, now that you have an economy in place where virtual items have a price, you can also have like services that have a price, and begin, and the trading of goods, trading of services, creates new jobs, enable to build a whole economy layer into the metaverse that is built on open standard on the blockchain. That's how Sandbox is doing differently.
When I look at my 7-year-old son playing Roblox, or if he forces me to buy Roblox, and I always think, wow, I mean, it's incredible the level of commitment. But then, it's like Facebook, you are inside a platform owned by, Zuck and company, and that's it. Tomorrow they decide to, freeze your account, or they change the rules, and that's it. You basically playing their game. It's not your game. It's a completely different concept. So I like the idea of the decentralization. I think is much required.
Exactly. Anything you buy with that Robux, think about it. Like, do you really own it? Even if it's a virtual item, not a physical one, you cannot transfer it to another users. You cannot take it out. You cannot resell the Robux that you didn't use to turn it back into the real money that you spent to acquire that Robux. So that really ownership? To me, is just renting something, and it's hard to put tangible value then on it, specifically because Robux, there's an infinite supply of it. Like, they will keep selling it for as long as people wants to buy it. So you don't really know if how do you value something with concrete constant inflation. And well, that's what I've been trying to change. And it can start with your kids, can start with people like us that are aware that we've been growing into a video game industry that started with premium and in-app purchases, where anything we bought was actually not ours, and make a difference. And I believe over the next decade, it will just be the new normal. Like, we will be thinking, but how come people could pay for things they didn't own, even if it was virtual? Like, it's insane. And I think more and more people are realizing it now. That's why they believe it and they invest into NFTs, they acquire NFT, and they use those NFTs inside games, opening the potential for play to earn. Many of them are acquiring virtual real estate called land in Sandbox to build businesses, to build games on top of our virtual world. And that's also something that was maybe missing back then on Second Life, bridging back to the idea of this Adidas store opening in Second Life. It was a place for customers to come, maybe to see Adidas, but what was the value for those customers? What did they take from Adidas being there? What did it give them? And there was always, again, a one-way involvement with the user, whereas we can do something decentralized, open, and community-first approach where users, contributors get as much value as the others on the game.
What do you think, Sebastiano, about the virtual side of the experience? Because at the end of the day, if I want to have a business experience, the level of utility and the level of friction is always something in my mind. So I give you an example. We can have this conversation here, video, audio, whatever, and there is no friction. It's just, we just do it and the user just watch it here. Or potentially I could go into the sandbox and then I want to know, obviously, what's the roadmap of Sandbox, but and the user could watch it in a metaverse, in a virtual world. But maybe there is more friction, or maybe not. I don't know. It depends how also the user experience is. So how do you think is what's your approach to make that experience worth of living it, instead of just having the usual way of interacting digitally?
Well, I think there's many more ways to be actually interacting and having fun than just what we are having right now. Like the world with the pandemic, we've all been driven to do, okay, let's do video call. We do like group video call, maybe. We feel closer, but we only do one thing at a time in those calls. We just talk, we wait, for each other to exchange. So we are not actually engaging into an activity that could be fun, that could be entertaining us, and that could bring us closer. And that's something like that's missing from the real world. Like, what are we looking for as human beings? It's to connect with others in meaningful manners, and not just chatting and doing one-to-one conversation. Sometimes it could be through games, through competition, through challenge, through solving puzzles, solving goals together, setting some objective. Virtual worlds allow that. You can have your avatar that define your online identity. That avatar can be an NFT. You can buy wearables to customize it. With your avatar, that becomes your representation of yourself, but which for once you choose who you want to be. It's not just defined by where you're born, who's your parent, like everything that you didn't choose when you were born, but still defines you. Here in the virtual world, it's all gone. You can have really the identity you want, set what you want to do, and interact with other users, not just chat and stand like this. I could move around the room. I could go jump on platform and still talk with you. I can try to kill that enemy, or we can try to kill that enemy together. So we've succeeded something together. And it's just more fun and better way. And fun comes from the game, fun comes from the gamification mechanics, but also from the all sort of entertainment. Like it can be like, because of the place we are, it totally changed the setting. If I'm in a virtual cafe, or I'm at a lounge and then there's other people talking about yoga or any other topics, that hobbies, things that passion me, I'm going to connect more because of the interest centers and the activities done. Or we could be all together attending that virtual concert moment from, I don't know, like deadmau5, one popular DJ, or Trevor Scott, like that's been in Fortnite typically. And why do young generation, they do live concert in Roblox, in Fortnite, and potentially in Sandbox in the future as well? It's because it provides them events, moments, defining moment that they will remember. It builds memories. It connects them, not just having a conversation like this in a fixed environment. It push the frontiers of what the physical world has been imposing us. There's no law of gravity. There's no limitation on all the visual effect you can do, the number of people that can be in the place, the speed at which you can move into it, and how you can move from one experience to another, to change, to meet people from other origin and other location. So all of that is happening in virtual world, and we feel it's going to be the new normal, and it will be more fun to spend time into actually having fun, working, playing, connecting with other people in virtual world than in the real world. That's I think with the future we're heading into. And it doesn't need to be like a dark or bad future like some science fiction movie tends to project us. I see it more like the Ready Player One, very engaging kind of experience that we are building today.
Well, what do you think about the friction? Because I've tried the Oculus Quest also to give our audience a difference between the virtual reality VR world, AR world, and virtual worlds that maybe you can use just using a mobile phone. But for a full immersive experience, I tried the Oculus Quest 2, I think, the one without any wire, so you just use it wireless. Fantastic piece of hardware. Still, after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I say, all right, that's it, enough. I can't stay here with these goggles on. So the friction is still too much to live into the immersive world. How do you think what do you think is the best way to solve this kind of problem?
Okay, well, that's a very relevant question. It touched many topics. Like the first one, indeed, hardware. Like there's VR hasn't yet really boomed in a mainstream fashion because just like you said, like there are some technologies that even though they are great, they are just not user friendly. Like wearing that headset, it took time for the technology to evolve already to have the performance, no motion sickness, and few things like that. But overall, frankly speaking, these are heavy headsets. You don't really like wearing them. And even though you immerse into a world, you're totally disconnected from the other as well. So that's an issue. The second thing is, and it's about like the same, like the 3D glasses when we were watching 3D movies or 3D movies in theaters or on TVs. That didn't really break through. Or even the Nintendo 3DS with a special 3D view. Like what's the added view? It's nice to have. It's not mandatory. So I think like playing 3D game just on the 2D screen at the moment is still the most accessible experience for all. And also because like for technology to be really adopted, it should be seamless. Seamless in a manner like you forget you wear it, you forget you use it, and it just works and puts you into the experience. And the experience is something like you want to do repeatedly, not just once. So if you try it for the first time, it's cool. You enter the space, you've did what drives you again to do it again. And that's something that many people forget. What is the comeback design for this feature? What is the comeback design for this new technology? It's not just about trying once, having a first taste, and then never trying it again. So sometimes something can be quick to access, like, yes, I can enter into a virtual world in one click from my browser. It works, but hey, I'm alone. There's nothing around. The content is empty. There's nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
Are you going to come back? Maybe second time you'll try. If you're very perseverant, you'll try a third time. That's it. You're never going up. And if you compare that to the physical world, it's like, hey, they opened this new shopping mall, but half of the store are closed, and well, there's no activity, and there's only two people you cross. It's a boring neighborhood. I don't want to, or a boring shopping mall. I'm probably not going to come back. So launching something, launching a place, launching a new world requires actually a lot of content, a lot of activity, live ops. It takes time because it's a lot of production work in a way, but the most memorable experience, the most exciting thing that drive us back to come back. It's almost like a festival, a movie festival or music festival. It's because of all the show, all the wow that you say, oh, next year I need to be there. I cannot miss it. And here, instead of being next year, it's like it's tomorrow and tomorrow again, and tomorrow again. It's something needs to be happening at any time, anywhere you are in the world. And that's when it will be massively adopted, in my opinion.
Tell me why the Sandbox is different from everything out there, and when is released officially and publicly available? Give us more info about it.
Absolutely. Well, Sandbox, as I mentioned, metaverse is a concept. Like I think there's not one single metaverse. There's many layers, many virtual worlds that compose that metaverse, and each one of them will have specificities. Like I don't believe in the value one thing will rule them all. It's better to have many different virtual worlds focused better in certain areas. Some will be better for displaying art online. Some will be better for live concert. We chose with Sandbox to be more focused on the gaming side because that's our background. We've been building games for 10 years. Sandbox franchise itself is 10 years old. And gamification is already natively a mechanic that brings people back to come back to progress, to continue discovering new level, to complete achievements, to socialize with other users. So that's really where we've put the focus. And also the second focus and differentiator of Sandbox is the effort we've put to bring IPs, brands, celebrities into our virtual world, and to embrace NFTs. So many brands like the Smurf, Care Bear, Shaun the Sheep, Atari, Roller Coaster Tycoons, and there's a few more I'll be finally announcing soon that are onboarding Sandbox, that are embracing NFTs for the first time and for the benefit of the users. Why they are coming? They are coming with a strategy on the long term, where first and foremost, they allow them to be more closely connected with their fans. How? In Sandbox, any NFT, any item they buy from a brand, it can be used to create your own game, your own stories, your own adventures within Sandbox. That's the key. It's user-generated content. It's already something that you couldn't have been doing before outside of Sandbox. Like if you want to make your own Smurf game, you cannot create your own Smurf story in a virtual world or a UGC game at the moment. And that's already something really strong added value. Then it allows to connect fans into close to the brand, into social apps, to chat about various things they love about it. And it can go further, like the brands can offer special access, they can launch events, they can make memorable moments that will be valuable not only as memory, but can be valuable in terms of the content they receive from those brands as well.
I like one idea that is the possibility of, for instance, I can do an interview to one of my guests inside a metaverse, like inside the Sandbox, for example, and then I could sell an NFT of that moment. So I could say, all right, if you want to have a badge with, I was there, when I interview Moby or whoever, you can buy in that moment that NFT. And it probably opens up a lot of different new ideas on creator monetization. So I find it very fascinating, that part.
Yeah, it's very, very fascinating. Like the fact that we are evolving in UGC space, anyone can make their NFTs in Sandbox. That's amazing. Like every morning I wake up, I see the content made by the community, and I'm so impressed. There are things that we as a team, we don't have that level of technicity. We cannot make such beautiful thing, and seeing users make it, publish it, and then be able to sell it on the marketplace and earn revenue from it. That's fantastic. Like this is really making an impact, a positive impact for many users. So that's been when we came up with the idea of Sandbox, turning players into creators, and with Sandbox, the new 3D version with blockchain this time and NFTs, we see that we deliver on that promise, deliver on that value, and that artists have been starting to make really good revenue stream from selling their art, selling creation, building fans and community around their work. So that's what really drives me. And that's only the first step, because we haven't launched everything yet at Sandbox. We only have launched the creator tool, like the 3D editor, the game maker, which is a no-code game making tool already very adopted. We have game jams involving jury from the traditional game studios as well, many participation. We launched Marketplace. The next step for us is to launch the first alpha, where players will be able to enter the virtual world. There will be a social hub where they can come, connect, discover some of the content. And then Some of them will be able to access what we call the Explorer seasons, which is going to be like an event that will be like 15 days to 1 month, where they'll get to explore 40 worlds made by other creators, made by our team. And as they progress, they explore, they get to unlock rewards, those rewards being NFTs and sand that they can keep as on their wallet. They own it. And potentially, if they decide to sell it on the marketplace, they can turn it into a revenue stream. So it's many ways that Sandbox has really been pushing play to earn, enabling creators, enabling players, developing this circular economy, and already making like a real life impact for many people. And that's very exciting.
Sorry, Sebastian. When is the alpha coming out? Is it announced?
No, we haven't yet announced it. So we started first teaser on our social media. We are aiming for mid-May to June to launch it. So that's imminent.
Wow, it's getting close. And tell me about the lens, because I have friends that are buying lens, for instance, on the central end, thinking that it's like with the beginning of the internet with the domain names. So their idea is, all right, if I buy, that land is like if I buy pizza.com. So that's the idea behind, which I don't know if is an appropriate one or not. But how the lens work into the Sandbox?
That's a great question. I'm not sure like the comparison with domain name is the best approach, but technically a land, it's a digital space that creators will need in order to publish the game they create for other users to access. So once users can access their game, they can start monetizing it. Or if they are not creators themselves, they could rent that land to another creator in the future that will need it. Lands, each one of them is actually an NFT on the blockchain because it has a unique location. We've made a map with 464 lands in total. We've sold about 45% of that map to date. So there's still about 91,000 lands still available that we're planning to sell till the end of 2022, progressively via successive waves. Lands, the particularity of land in Sandbox, they are located in different parts of our map. So they are not necessarily at the center. The center is not the most valuable part of the map. Every corner, every neighborhood of Sandbox includes different game studios, brands, IPs. Soon there will be celebrities and other key actors that become landmarks. And so every place in Sandbox should be interesting for someone looking at a land. Right. So there's a fixed number of lands. It's not like there's only one pizza.com and you cannot get another, but it's more a logic of neighborhoods and choosing your location that matters in Sandbox. And why people understand very well the concept of land, it's like virtual real estate. So in a physical world, you can buy an empty land and start building a business on top of it or a house. If it's alone, it's less, and it doesn't attract a lot of people, maybe it will not drive more value, and the overall value of your land plus your house that you build on it will not rise. But if you work with your neighbors, you put a restaurant, you put a cafe, you start having like the bus station, things that drive people around and overall make those social places, place where people want to start being, the value of that land might rise. It will not rise overnight. It will rise over time because of the effort that people have built to create places, to develop their businesses on top of it. And that's very similar. Like you buy an empty land, you need to devote time to create a game, something fun that will drive other users, or you need to support hiring people, hiring an architect, hiring a designer, hiring a game team to build on top of that, to turn it into potentially a viable business and source of revenue for you.
But that, Sebastian, requires a built-in scarcity mechanism, right? Because if I buy a real estate in Brighton, the reason why there is value there is that no one can build anything more because there is the sea in front and that's it. So what happens if you decide to build a bigger map or adding lands, then my land changes of value? I don't know if it's a stupid question or not.
No, it's a great question, and it's all about the trust and the use of the blockchain. If we were a centralized world, not using blockchain, we could continuously add more land. Say, oh, yes, there's more players. Let's add more land because there's more
Fortnite, creating new maps.
Create new map, new region of the world, etc. So infinite expansion. Here, we designed it from the beginning that there will be this fixed number on a smart contract. There cannot be more lands generated ever. And even if we wanted to, and at some point, 100% of the land will be in the hands of players, even ourselves. If we want to give lands to newcomers, we'll have to go to the secondary market to buy it back from users. That's what the blockchain adds, like that transparent proof of the scarcity that anyone can see, and as such can really start being appreciating the value behind.
So for the sandbox is like Bitcoin with the 21 million Bitcoin is a fixed amount and that's it.
That's it. But unlike with NFTs, unlike cryptocurrencies, they are very visual, so people can see the image of the land, they can understand, they can see the image of game items like a character, a sword. And so there is not so much thinking process going into like, do I want a land at this place? Do I want this gold sword for my character? It will increase my skill. Versus cryptocurrencies, you have to do a lot of research, reading the white paper, trying to understand what is it doing actually, this protocol, how is it meaningful? Is there a market for that, etc.? So I don't say any NFT will be valuable. Don't buy any NFT just without research. But I think it's already much more tangible because those are the things that we're already surrounded about. Like you see those vinyl toys behind. I definitely buy them as NFT and physical land. I can understand that because I've been growing all my life. My parents told me like, oh, you will succeed in life once you're able to buy yourself a house. Yeah. And I believe a lot of people in the world have been brainwashed, I think, in the way with this idea. But maybe now you cannot buy a house anymore. It's too expensive in London. It's too expensive in New York, Tokyo, etc. But you can own a piece of the metaverse in the virtual world and then sell it for the price of a real house. Sometimes that's already happening in Sandbox or Decentraland, etc. And there build that vision into that virtual world.
I've tried, Sebastian, to mint some NFTs on OpenSea or stuff like that, just to try, just for the fun. I always like to test and see, and I did some stupid ones, or I don't know, and I also sold some. But I mean, it was just interesting for me to understand the process and how it works, and there are few things that are very clear to me. The first one is that it's not a mainstream process yet, because you have to go there, you have to add a MetaMask wallet, and then you have to pay gas fee, and then the hash. Well, you say no, wait, what? So it is not a mainstream process, that kind of NFT marketplace. But when you start to gamify like Sandbox, it looks much more appealing to everyone. So my feeling is that there is no need of a big technical experience, or you don't have to be a crypto guru to use it. But the other question was, when you mint an NFT, usually there are this gas fee because it's on an Ethereum blockchain. How does it work in the Sandbox? Is the same, or how you solve it?
All right. So to do the first point, I think it's great that you actually went through the process. So there was friction, but friction is also learning, it's knowledge. Yeah. Now you understand what is it concretely. It can be improved for sure, and it has already improved over years, and it's going to continue improving. But at least you understand that because of that friction, you have your currency, your cryptocurrency on the wallet, you have those NFTs that you own. And somehow, why can people own millions worth of token and spend for millions on NFT is because they trust their wallet more than they trust their credit card or their bank to spend that. How can someone buy a $69 million worth of the Beeple large JPEG image that's sold with a credit card? It's such a complex process. So credit cards can help to onboard, but if we only think like, how do we make blockchain so that everyone forgets it's a blockchain, I think they are missing the point. There still need to be a friction that makes you understand this paradigm shift of this is something that now you own. It's different from before. But to that point, in Sandbox, we've already simplified a lot of the process. You don't need MetaMask. You can just create a wallet with an email or a social login, Google, Twitter, Facebook. You can mint rather simply. We didn't remove this few transactions. You don't need to know the hash, etc. But there are still some constraints from the blockchain that we use. And one of those constraints at the moment, it's still the gas fees. Gas fees can be either hidden to the user or shown to the user, but you have to pay for the people who are supporting the network. When you take the car and you run on the highway, you pay a toll because someone has to maintain that highway. If you don't pay the toll, someone is paying. It's the government. They just don't tell you that it's you, the user. That's how we approach it. In Sandbox, we've been building Sandbox for close to 3 years now. So we started to develop it on the Ethereum blockchain, which is one of the blockchain that has the largest developer community and ecosystem. So we chose the one with the most documentation, the most support, the most vibrant developer community, because it starts all with developers who build that technology, who wants to change the way we own, the way we are going to do those things in the metaverse in the future. And so, yes, the growth of Ethereum has impacted indeed the cost of the gas fees over time, which makes it less attractive to buy a smaller value item. If I want to buy something that just 1 cent or like 10 cents, it's hard. The gas fees make it impossible. That's why there are other solutions, other chains or layer 2s. Not all of them first are production ready. Like by production ready, I mean like isometrically feature set. With an isometric feature set, like can run smart contract, can operate various functions that we created specifically for Sandbox. Not all of them are ready for them. So that's already a first challenge. The second challenge is by layer 2. There are many layer 2, but isn't layer 2 like a temporary solution towards the actual network coming and with Ethereum 2.0 providing the solution by itself? So we are in that situation, intermediary solution, where we have to compromise sometimes between cost and technology for the benefit of the user, because sometimes they have to pay more to support and enter, or we want to make it simpler, make them pay less gas fees, so we integrate a layer 2, but we may need to make sure that layer 2 is going to stay active over time to support all the features we need. And not all of them are there or are production ready for that. So that's one of the challenge. And I don't want to get too technical yet, so I'm trying to keep things simple. But we've done a lot of research at Sandbox. We will have layer 2, but we're also thinking how that integration will stay in the future over the next 3 to 5 years, so we don't redo it from scratch again.
And also, as you said, Ethereum 2.0 is coming out, and it will be interesting to see this transition from proof of work to proof of stake, and what happened, what will be the impact, and so on. Anyway, very exciting, very interesting moment. Looking forward for the launch of the alpha, and I wish you good luck, Sebastian. It's a really interesting moment, and it's a super interesting project. So let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Thank you, Monty. See you soon. Bye-bye.